Yo, what's going on guys? Arekkz here and welcome back to another video. E3 is so close now, I am super hyped. I'm currently flying over to LA right now in preparation for the show next week. And while I'm out there, I'm going to be bringing you guys loads of video coverage on this channel. So all next week, all the videos here will be completely and utterly E3 related. And I figured what better way to kick off my E3 coverage than a quick look at my top 10 most anticipated titles. Bear in mind, this is just my top 10 list. I have no doubt that you guys will have a very different list to me. In fact, I'd love to hear what you guys are most hyped for, so definitely let me know in the comments down below. And of course, there are so many more games than just these 10, plus there will be loads of unannounced games too, so there's tons of stuff to look forward to. Also, just before I get started, if you guys want to stay up to date on all of my E3 coverage, then your best 3 sources are as follows. My Twitter feed all next week, because I'll be live tweeting from the event where possible, taking photos, the lot, so I'll aim to keep you guys as up to date as possible on there. Of course, this channel will be where the majority of my content will reside. Trailer breakdowns, news, hands-on impressions, gameplay capture, maybe a couple of interviews, all that stuff will be right here. And finally, over on my second channel, I'm going to be vlogging the entire trip. So if you guys want to know what it's like to be at E3, then tune into the vlogs to see what I get up to. And of course, if you haven't subbed to the second channel, then you might want to do that too. The links are all on screen and of course in the description box down below, but those will be your best sources for all of my E3 coverage next week. Anyway, that's enough of that, let's kick off this top 10. Coming in at number 10, Ghost Recon Wildlands. Now, for any of you guys that missed the recent trailer, or the announced last year, then Ghost Recon Wildlands is Ubisoft's upcoming tactical open world shooter. It's said to be one of the biggest open world games they've ever produced, and this is going to be the 10th installment in the Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon franchise. You play as a member of the Ghosts, who are an elite team in the United States Army, and it's your task to take down targets in whatever way you see fit. Missions can be completed in a wide variety of different ways, be that all guns blazing, stealth, up close and personal, from afar, you name it, you work with your team to get the job done. And what's more, while you can play this alone with AI teammates, you can also party up with up to 3 friends for some 4-player co-op action. Being a Ghost Recon game, there'll of course be no shortage of gadgets and weapons at your disposal, and the open world setting should provide a pretty awesome playground to mess around in. It's set for release next year, but hopefully there'll be some hands-on opportunities at E3, because I am really interested to see how this fares up in comparison to some of the previous Ghost Recon titles. Then moving over to number 9, Sea of Thieves. Now this is Rare's upcoming open world pirate adventure game. Truth be told, we don't know a great deal about this at the moment. We got a first glimpse of it at E3 last year, and since then, besides some concept art images and a few random Twitter videos, there's not been a great deal said. However, Rare are a studio that have created some truly amazing games in the past, and are a studio that I've long believed, given the right project, could make something really awesome again. I've always been a fan of the visual style for a lot of their games, and an open world pirate game, if done right, could certainly be something I would be willing to sink my teeth into. So here's hoping we get some more details this year. Coming in at number 8, The Division's Underground expansion. Now if you're a subscriber on this channel already, I don't need to tell you guys what The Division is, but the next big update, the first one that comes as part of the Season Pass, should expand the world that we play in. The updates thus far have been free, and while they've introduced some great new additions to the game, they've also been somewhat limited. The 1.3 Underground expansion is set to expand the map downwards, into Manhattan's sewers, or underground, but it should also provide us with an expansion on the story, and plenty more stuff we have yet to hear about. Ubisoft are going to be at E3, they have their own press conference, as well as, I would imagine, presence during Xbox's press conference too, so expect to see more next week. Then moving on to number 7. Destiny Rise of Iron. The next big expansion coming to Destiny. Just this week we got some new information surrounding this title, as well as a first trailer. There looks to be some really awesome new content coming, which, let's be honest, is something that the game is in dire need of right now. And it's personally got me super hyped for a game that has, for a few months, been a little on the slow side. Either way, with the promise of more information next week, I have definitely got my seat on the hype train. Next up, number 6, Crackdown 3. I am a massive fan of Crackdown 2. I'll be honest with you, I never actually played number 1. I heard it was great, but I got into the series quite late. But regardless, Crackdown 3 was first announced with a CG trailer in 2014, and later shown in more detail behind closed doors in 2015. We've yet to see some serious, cohesive gameplay. We've seen a few kind of tech demos and a few other things like that, but from these small snippets that we've seen, and of course some of the developer interviews, the game boasts 100% environmental destruction, meaning in multiplayer scenarios it would, in theory, be possible to level an entire city. Truth be told, it does sound a little bit ambitious, and whether that comes to light will of course remain to be seen, but either way I am still super psyched to jump back into another chaos-filled co-op city and start collecting some orbs. Then in at number 5, I imagine this will be one for a lot of people out there, Battlefield 1. I'll admit I'm not a huge Battlefield player myself. I first joined the series with Bad Company 2 and then played Battlefield 4 and Hardline for a bit. And while realistic war settings aren't always number 1 on my priority list, I have always enjoyed Battlefield for its large scale battles and all the crazy stuff you can do when you join a server with your friends. Battlefield 1 was of course revealed not too long ago. I had the privilege of being at the live reveal, during which they also showed some gameplay, so I've seen the game, it looks incredible, and during EA's EA Play event in both London and LA, the game is going to be playable. So it's not long till I get to go hands on with it and see what the game has to offer. Next up, number 4, Watch Dogs 2. Now this is something that I know will cause a bit of a divide. I appreciate Watch Dogs 1 didn't get the greatest reception, and yes, there was a considerable visual downgrade from the original announce to release. However, it also had some really great components, and for a first in the series, I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt with number 2. I personally had a ton of fun during Watch Dogs 1's multiplayer, and the campaign still had some really cool moments. So when they showed off Watch Dogs 2 during a live stream this week, it was quite clear to see that they've worked really hard to try and learn from their mistakes in number 1. Obviously only time will tell to see exactly how this game plays out, but from what they've shown, I have reason to be excited. Moving over to number 3, Scalebound. As a Monster Hunter player and a fan of games produced by Hideki Kamiya, Scalebound from the moment it was announced seemed like an easy win for me. A vast open world to explore, dragons that you can fight alongside, upgrade and customize, an over-the-top combat system, some sort of co-op gameplay, and no doubt tons more we have yet to hear about. Scalebound is a game I've been keeping a close eye on for a while now. I got to check it out during a behind closed doors demo during last year's Gamescom, and there's a video on the channel where I actually spoke about all the information that wasn't shared during the public press conference, so if you haven't seen that, then check that one out on the channel. But from what I saw last year, the game definitely has promise. I mean, I can't really think of a bad game that Kami has worked on, so here's hoping that he doesn't break the cycle. Then coming in at number 2, not too far removed from Scalebound, another game that taps into the Monster Hunter in me, Horizon Zero Dawn. This jaw-dropping game was first announced during last year's E3. Immediately, the setting paired with the giant robotic-looking dinosaurs resonated with me. The combat looks fluid and fun, not to mention combining dinosaurs and robots and mechs basically just combines two of my favourite things. And with another new trailer dropping this week, it also looks like the game will have a pretty exciting story. An interesting blend of old and new with tribes and primitive weapons paired with segments of technology, and a world that clearly blurs the line between both. And finally, coming in at number 1, The Legend of Zelda NX. For me, this was always going to be top. Above all else, Zelda is my all-time favourite franchise. Ocarina of Time and Skyward Sword are two of my all-time favourite games, with many of the other Zelda games taking up slots in my top 10. Zelda on the NX, however, aims to take the series in a whole new direction. A fully open world, with the ability to go where you please, and complete the story in supposedly whatever order you please too. Typically, Zelda games funnel you through the game in a very particular order, but Zelda NX aims to break the mold and give the player complete freedom. And this year, Nintendo are clearly aiming to go big. It's basically the only game they're showing at their booth this year. They have live streams planned, plus supposedly hour-long hands-on demos for media and press, so I have every intention of going hands-on to not only see how the game feels, but also bring you guys as much information as possible. The game is slated to launch in March 2017 alongside the Nintendo NX, so until then, hands-on at E3 is all I'm gonna get. And that, my friends, is pretty much it. There are, of course, loads that just did not fit into my top 10. In fact, normally by the time I finish making a top 10, I kind of question my order because, of course, there are things like For Honor, Titanfall 2, Halo Wars, Pokemon, the list goes on. Of course, all the unannounced things as well. So the point is, there is a lot of stuff I'm super excited about and a lot of stuff that I'm looking forward to trying and going hands-on with next week. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. Let me know what your most anticipated games are. And also, if there is anything specifically you would like me to try and cover next week, then definitely let me know. If I see it, if I can go hands-on with it, I will do my best to try and get some coverage for you. But for the time being, that was my top 10. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, then a like would be super appreciated. And thanks for watching. Take it easy. Catch you next time. Peace out.